I'm about to prove that you don't need complex prompts or expensive prompt engineering courses or certificates to get the best results from AI. In fact, I'm going to show you 5 different methods that will put you ahead of 99% of people when it comes to prompting. So even if you're a beginner or if you're advanced, you're going to learn something and you're going to really level up your prompting game. I think that a lot of people are stuck somewhere in between super basic prompts. So like, give me a social media calendar for my niche. Or they find and like copy this monster prompt, right, that has like few pages long, and they feel like these will get the best results. And honestly, like both are true and both are wrong at the same time, okay? So any of those methods can work if you do them correctly and if you understand what requires to make them work, okay? And this is what we're going to go through this video. So we're going to test all those methods on the same prompt and we're going to see the results together. This video is going to be more like of a hands-on masterclass. You'll see which one works in which conditions and for which purposes and with which context. By the end of this video, you're going to be so much more confident in your own abilities to get the outputs that you need by combining or like choosing different methods of prompting and just experimenting with that. Hi, I'm Elena. If you're new to this channel, here we talk all things about AI and automation for online entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, creators, and any types of online businesses. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, you can do it now, and let's jump into the video. So the first method is ultimately the most basic one, and I can guarantee if you tried ChatGPT, you probably have done this as well. And I'm going to share with you in a second why I've actually changed my mind on this entirely. So if before, let's say the most basic, or like how 99% of people use ChatGPT or Claude, like aside from treating it like Google, right? But what they do is that they come to it and they say, help me create 10 real ideas for my business. Okay. And this is the thing, but it's really important that you understand this. I will put like for my niche, right? And before, if you do that, even if you insert the niche, you will get like super basic results if you're a beginner, right? But what has happened a couple of weeks ago? So ChatGPT has introduced memory feature. What it means that if you have been using ChatGPT for a long time, it has built a very comprehensive memory of all of your interactions. So basically it has been able to save a lot of context about what are your goals, what is your business about, like if you have interacted extensively, it knows a lot about your business. So if you would send this prompt, you'd get like the most basic outcome. If you say, for example, I'm in a mindset coaching niche, it will be like the most basic suggestions for the real ideas. But now, if we run this prompt, you will see, because I have been using this like for the past 2 years or so, right? Since it came up more or less, you can see that it already knows when I run this prompt what my niche is, right? So who is my target group? It's solopreneurs using AI to build authentic, freedom-first online businesses. And it already knows that my main goal with my channel, with everything, is to educate and inspire people and attract them to my brand or to what I'm doing. I'm building community. So basically bring them into my ecosystem if they find value from what I provide. And it gives me it's still very basic because the prompt was not really good, right? But it already knows, like it already can give me ideas without me over-explaining everything to it. Okay, so this is the first method. We call it the super basic one. Don't use it if you're a complete beginner. You can use it as a starting point if you have been using ChatGPT for a long time, okay? Because then it knows you. But this is how most people use ChatGPT, and unless you've been using it for a while, this is not going to create a good value. So that's why we're moving to method number 2. So the next way that you can, even having been a beginner in prompting, what you can do is, the other method is, let's say we have the same goal, right? We have the goal of creating 10 reels ideas for my niche. What you want to add to this prompt, so you want basically to ask AI or ChatGPT to interview you, right? To ask you questions, because ultimately, in order to give you the best results, you need to provide as much context as possible. And this context can come from either the memory in ChatGPT, for example, and your previous interactions, or it can come from you providing it, or it can come from AI actually asking you what it needs to know in order to give you the best output. So this is what we're going to do now. So here we're going to say, help me create 10 Reels ideas for my niche. Ask me 10 insightful, in-depth questions to understand my audience, my offers, my business philosophy, and my social media goals with social media presence. Okay? And this is just for the sake of time, like you can write as much, just ask it to ask you questions, basically. It doesn't have to be that detailed, or you can make it like, if you have the knowledge, if you have the understanding of how to guide it more, right? Give it examples of what it could ask you. But if not, that's not a problem as well. So we just run it, and here it's asking 10 questions, right? So what transformation do you want your audience to experience through your content and offer? What's the audience currently trying to figure out? What to do your paid offers help people to do? Super, super tailored questions. And once you answer this, I'll craft 10 tailored Reels ideas. So we already now see that from like the basic, like what it spits out, even though it knew me in the previous chat, this will be a much more comprehensive inputs. So I'm not going to actually answer that, but you definitely, when you try it out, I can highly recommend to use a dictation. So this small microphone feature, just press it and just talk, answer those questions in your tone of voice, right? And and then send it off, and then you'll see that the results will be much more in-depth, much more aligned to you, like, and your business and your goals. I think this method is perfect for beginners who are starting with the new AI tool. And you can just say, just ask me all the questions that you need in order to get enough context in order to do these tasks in the best possible way. I think the key point here is that this is really like you collaborating with AI to get the best result. But since you might not know what questions to ask or what context to give, it can help you identify that context that it needs in order to provide your best results. Let's move on to the next one. And I'll open up a new chat here just so we can then don't confuse it. So basically, this one is what I call, I'm pretty sure people called this before, but like I for myself call it vibe prompting, okay? And it's my absolute favorite way to do it. I was actually, and I can tell you this, I was actually chatting with Claude when I was preparing for this video, and I asked it openly. I'm like, which ones are better results? Is it this like crafting, like really complex prompts, or is it the conversational prompting, right? Like I do, because I knew that, like, I researched this area. So I really know that it's shifting, but I really wanted to confirm that, because I've noticed that using super complex prompts sometimes can give you great results, but like over time, the results that you can get from just conversational prompting is really improving. Obviously, when we ask Claude here, it says that when I'm prompting it with voice, the rich context that you give about your business, audience, specific needs, it really gives the richness to AI. I could ask clarifying questions if I need. Basically, the vibe prompting, how I call it for me, it's just about, okay, I have a goal in my head, right? I want to create social media, let's say 10 Reels ideas, right? So we've seen 2 ways to do it, and now I'm going to show you the third one. So basically, it's super simple. You just, let's see if it works here. So this is just purely using voice, okay? And so this is just about using your voice and your thoughts and anything that comes to you in the moment when you're clarifying what the task is. So let's stick with the same task. So task, we say that we want to create 10 Reels for my business, right? And what I'm going to do now you can actually use it in the web interface also, but I'm going to press here on the mic button, and then I'm just going to go for it, and I'm just going to give it like what I envision for my Reels and so on. I'm going to start my voice memo now, so you can stay along and hear what I'm saying. So I want to create 10 reels for my target audience, which you already know is online entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, creators, basically everyone who is building business online, either solo but with a small team, and they want to really leverage AI and automation. They might feel a bit overwhelmed because there's so much noise in the space, and my role is to simplify that and to really bring like actionable, transformational, super valuable, high leverage knowledge for them to be able to use. And so I really want to, the goal with my social media presence is I want to provide value, I want to serve my audience and build trust. And yeah, so I want those 10 reels to be probably talking head videos, but feel free to challenge me on that and give me better ideas. But I think this is the easiest for me because I don't have that much time or great editing skills. It should be super simple. You already know my tone of voice, so you can integrate that. And also do some research on social media trends and what's working in 2025 in order to grow your audience. So integrate that if there's any relevance. Let's start there. Okay, so you see, I really brain dump, and sometimes I would even do it much longer, sometimes it's much shorter, but I find that this is a couple of extra valuable points, right? I ask it to do research for what's happening in 2025, right? What is working? What are the trends? And it will go ahead and do this research. So this is what it first highlights: the formats that are working right now, what type of hooks and so on. So we want this knowledge, right? And to me, it's just like when I think about this, like that becomes obvious. Of course, I want to make sure that it is based in the current, like, so I don't spend a lot of time doing something that by default is not working, because I'm not a social media guru, right? Like I haven't spent my life on social media. I actually spend very little time, but here you go. So we have the trends that it's identified, and it's creating the reels ideas. So let's just check them out. Feeling overwhelmed? It's not your fault, but it's your opportunity. Reframe it as a tool, not a trend. Mention how solopreneur. Okay, that's great. So what we can do from here, like again, I can say, and this is really important, whichever method you use, please make sure that you always iterate, right? Like never settle for the first output. It's just a suggestion. It's just like the first thing, like just go and iterate from there. So for example, I'm seeing that now already. So it's good hooks, interesting ideas. I think that's really good. And it already knows that, for example, when it comes to one workflow, like we have discussed this workflow, so it actually captured it from memory. Yeah, really good. So from here on, we can just say, okay, elaborate on content. Okay, what else could I include here? If you want more support in scripting that, it can do that. So for example, let's take the number 3. I want you to create a script. I really like this idea, so help me elaborate on the script. Okay, so now we have some examples that I can use as a starting point, and of course I will refine it, or I will add like different ideas and so on. This is a pro tip, okay? This is just probably an extra method how to get good prompts. So let's say you're here, right? Or let's say you are like a social media manager, right? Or whatever this, like we use example of reels, but it could be anything, right? So apply that to but you can say like when you're creating social media content, because you know that people want prompts, right? Because you know that prompts are actually helpful for your audience. So you can just say, great, I'm going to do with a voice. I really like it. Can you please create a prompt that will help people resolve this pain point that we're talking about in this reel? I want it to be really helpful for people and provide a lot of value. So make it a really, really insightful prompt that will help them with that. And then we go ahead. So here you go. So you're a business advisor helping a solopreneur audience audit their business for high leverage opportunities. I want you to analyze my weekly, okay? So this is it. This is your prompt. You can, so when you give social media, like you can use that as lead magnet, right? Like you can use, again, based on your area of expertise, like infused with your knowledge, you can create the prompts from there. And if you're creating like social media or you working with like the pain points of your audience, you can ask the same thing, like at any point, help me craft a prompt to resolve this issue for my audience. So this is just next level thinking. Like once you understand this, and I really want to show you, this is how my brain works now. And of course, you test this prompt before you share it, and you improve it or you add something that you see that is missing or valuable, but then you can just use it in your business. Of course, when you're vibe prompting, when you're when you're using your voice, you can always add like act as social media advisor and so on. Like I start still feeling that giving these roles, it becomes less and less impactful in a sense. I don't know, it's just me. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't do it. So play around. But I think again, maybe because of the memory, maybe because it's getting so advanced, like it's already like you don't have to explain those things anymore. But that is just my feeling. So I don't really see huge difference when I prompted, like specifically put it into the role and like outside the role, or give freedom to define its own role. But again, this is just like experiment and try it out, and you'll see what works best for you. The next thing I want to show you is, if you're someone that you're like, okay, Elena, that's great, but I actually want some structure. I actually want some engineered prompt that I can just fill in the things. Like I don't like the voice and all this like all over the place brain dumping that you're doing. That's just not my thing. And that's totally fine. So right now I'm going to show you the method how to get. You will probably recognize a lot of prompts or like the formats, because if you have gotten like a bot or consumed other prompts, you will recognize that some of them look like this, okay? So what you want to say is that I have a goal of, and we stick with the Reels idea of creating 10 highly converting, trust building Reels. I want to create a proven prompt that will help me to do this in the best way. Okay, we can start here and see if we need to refine a proven prompt that I can use for, let's say, ChatGPT or Claude. So it gives the suggestion, okay? This is the prompt and you can go ahead and copy. So here you have, you're an expert content strategist helping multi-passionate, okay. The audience is made, okay, so it already knows my audience. You can see it puts it back. I want Reel to follow this formula. Bold, emotionally resonant opening, body, call to action, and keep the tone. Authenticity over trends. Okay, so it knows so much about me that it actually knows all those things, and it gives the suggestion of the topics, right? So then I'm going to show you like if we see any difference, okay? We copy this and we just open a new chat and then we prompt it and we see what comes out. Okay, so as you can see, the outcome is here. If before, when I was using other methods, like it comes very short, right? And then you just have to iterate and elaborate on this, add this, and so on. You have to guide it more. This way, when you ask AI to actually craft a prompt for your goal, it does a pretty good job, okay? So it created the hook, the body, CTA. So previously we had to ask it to elaborate on the body. That was just like a main point, but here we have it. And even the caption and the keywords. So I think this is super, super powerful. So you just have a goal, you ask AI to create a prompt in order to reach this goal. Basically, you give it any additional information if you want, and you ask it to create this prompt. It creates the prompt for you, you run the prompt, you test it, and you iterate from there. But the results could be really incredible. So the next way to level up your prompting game is to actually use AI as your teacher. So here you come, and as like a tutor, right? So here you come to say, I want to become really good at prompting, and I want you to become my tutor to help me get there. And let's see what it comes. We're not going to overprompt it. We're not going to say exactly what we want. Let's see how it approaches it. Okay, so I'm in 100%. Let's turn into word class prompted. Daily prompt practice, prompt scenario, challenge objective. Core prompting skills you master: clarity, constraints, system role design, how to prime AI, chain of thought. So it gives you like, and what do you need, what do you want to use prompting for first, right? And then it gives you like, okay, this is my idea. And then it will help you like in this chat to navigate how to improve, how to approach this, right? What's the best way? So that basically becomes your tutor. Like you don't need to watch hundreds of YouTube videos like this one. Okay, watch this one, but not one after that, because you can ask AI to just tell you, like, what do you need to learn about this? And that applies to any task, really. But in this case, you can just use it for this. Okay, so the next thing, that way you can improve your prompting skills is by going into GPTs. And in these GPTs, you write something like prompt. And what you'll see, and I think you need to have a paid ChatGPT subscription, but what you'll see here, you'll have tons of custom GPTs that will help you prompt, okay? Or that will help you create or engineer a perfect prompt. If you're like really after that perfect prompt and you don't buy into like vibe prompting, this is an option for you. So you can prompt, choose this one, for example, and then start chat, and it'll build a new prompt from scratch. And then it will ask you a couple of questions. What do you want to achieve? So let's say I want to make 10 reels. Can we make it even simpler? Okay. And then what is the target audience? Okay, so it asks more questions. So it will ask all the questions and then it will give you a prompt. So let's just do it like really quickly so we can just see the example of this. So what's the topic of the reels? Let's say it's AI and automation tips. It's for Instagram. My goal is to build personal brand and build trust and to grow my audience. My tone of voice is empowering and like down to earth, I would say. I want full scripts, please. So here's the prompt that it suggests that we use. You're a content strategist, an expert script writer. Write full Instagram. Okay. Be engaging, deliver one clear, easy to understand per reel. Okay, not bad. That's pretty good. Okay. So it gives us clear instructions. Let's start a new chat and run this prompt. Okay, so I would say the ideas are different, okay? But I would say the structure is quite the same, I would say, to the previous ones, but the ideas are different, okay? But I think in this case, again, like I think it's just, again, a reminder, there is no right or wrong way. It's just many different ways. And then you'll just have to find the one that works best for you. That, like for me, for example, the custom GPTs prompts are Like, I mean, they feel a bit stiff. I'm not sure. I think with my vibe prompting, I got better results. But again, like, there's no right or wrong. You just need to find your way. And ultimately, now we've tried different methods. And let's say instead of 10 ideas from the beginning, now we already have 40 ideas, right? Then another example, it's going to be way over 5. I don't know how many I said in the beginning of this video, but let's keep it as a bonus. But if you're using other AIs, like for example, you do image generation or you do video generation, you can ask ChatGPT or Claude to create a prompt specifically for that tool. So for example, if you're creating images in Midjourney, then you can just come to ChatGPT and say, this is the image that I'm after. You can even upload an example. I want you to create a Midjourney prompt in order to achieve like this and that result. And then you just, again, with words, explain what you want. And this is super powerful. The same with Zora or Runway, like whichever video generation that you're using. I think, again, like I think more and more of those tools will be like shifting towards more conversational prompting soon as well. For now, you can ask it to create a prompt for the other tools as well. The very last thing I want to, if you're a coach or if you are someone who does sort of service for your clients, right? Like you talk to your clients, you provide value, you're teaching, or there's something like you have your own frameworks, you have your own content generated, right? I think this is an amazing opportunity. Like when we see now that course creation, like all of those kind of things, they will really transform because now everyone can create courses more or less, right? So it's much less about the knowledge that you give, but it's much more about the transformation that you can give. And when it comes to transformation, curating prompts for your audience to support them on the transformation that you taking them through is one of the best competitive edges that you can really add to your kind of like tool stack or to your framework. So what it means, for example, if you're a mindset coach, let's say you have your frameworks, you know what you're teaching, you have interactions with your clients that you of course anonymize, but the takeaways of their struggles and so on, you feed all of that to ChatGPT, and then you ask it to basically like say, I want to support my client like on a daily basis, right? But without having to have a calls. I want you to create a series of prompts. This is what we discussed so far. This is where we are. This is like the next session that we're booked. In between of that, I want you, based on what you know about my work and my frameworks and my client, I want you to create a number of prompts that they can use on a daily basis or like each day, like until we meet the next time. You see what I mean? Like it's not replacing you as a coach. It's not replacing you as someone who's providing this value, but it gives extra value to your clients. So I think especially for people in online business, especially for coaches and course creators, like if you're not experimenting with that yet, just let nothing hold you back. Jump into that. You're not too late, but you will gain a competitive advantage because people want that. People increasingly see more and more value. And if you can give them this extra value, this will let you really be ahead of your competition. Regardless which method you use, I encourage you to experiment and try it out. Try all of them, but always iterate. Always provide as much context as you can. Always tell the feedback to ChatGPT or your AI. What did you like what didn't resonate with this? What was wrong? Like what you didn't like. Always give constructive feedback, okay? Use examples. Use anti-examples, provide links, provide documents that you see as good examples, give examples what you absolutely do not want to have, right? This is another way of giving it context. Think when you're creating the prompts, when you're trying the prompts or vibe prompting, you just always assume that you'll have to iterate, always assume that you'll have to give more context, ask questions, give feedback, tell what's wrong and what you like, what you don't like, and why. So basically, like ultimately, it's just about context, iteration, and questions back and forth, okay? So I think if you do that you will be, I can promise you, you will be ahead of 99.9% of people. Because honestly, it feels, and I think I am in this space, so to me it feels like everyone by now is using it like in the most advanced ways, and it's just not true. I think so many people stumble just like using a basic prompt, not getting a really good result, and then just feeling it doesn't work, it's not really good, it's not really there. No, it's there, it's just you're not there. Okay, I hope this is an invitation to explore and to try out and to really master the skills. It became a much longer video than I anticipated, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got value from it. I hope you're gonna actually open up your ChatGPT or Claude and try the things we talked about. Let me know if you try any of those and what results did you get, or if you have any questions, if you want more tips on how to become better in prompting. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.